We're going back in memory. There's Bruce Fleming umpiring, and there is Milt Pappas on the mound. And this is the last no-hit game pitch by a Cub pitcher. Corman Fanzone goes out in short right to make the catch. And Pappas pitched his no-hitter. And tonight, we have the Chicago Cubs opening a 4-game series with the New York Mets, who used to be the hated rival. Stay with us for all the thrills coming your way in a moment. Sure. Hello again, everybody. Harry Caray with Steve Stone and Tom Brennaman. We're at Wrigley Field. Mark Corner did a beautiful rendition of our national anthem before the game. And the lineups for tonight's game are, for the Mets, Orsulak leading off in left, Hundley the catcher, Murray at first, Bonilla at third, Burnitz in right, our first look at him, Kemp at second, McKnight at short, Ryan Thompson in center, and 23-year-old Bobby Jones is on the hill. The Diet Pepsi defensive alignment is Roberson in left, Sosa in center, Smith in right, Bushell, Vizcaino, Sandberg, and Grace around the infield. Wilkins catching, and Jose Guzman is on the mound. Wendelstedt, Marsh, Rapuano, and Vanover around the bases. Wendelstedt working the plate. First pitch in there, a strike call.
Jose Guzman making his 29th start, his second against the Mets. He faced him one time back on June 9th, went 7 2/3 innings, won the game 8-3.
Another strike called. Jose Guzman, who's won 11 and lost 9. And he has shown the ability to win. Here's a pitch a little low. He seems to run into trouble in one inning or so, and he's beaten in a lot of close ball games. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A little bit outside to Orsulak. Orsulak against the Cubs has hit well, hitting .368 with 7 out of 19. There's a pitch high.
Orsulak's been a very good player. He's in a platoon system in left field with Dave Gallagher, and Orsulak's average around 300 most of this year. And he's been a very pleasant surprise to the Mets.
There's a smash right back at Guzman. He's got it. And he threw him out. Boy, that ball. He got his hands down just in time to protect himself.
Well, Harry, you have to protect yourself. There's no doubt about that. And Jose Guzman was very fortunate that he does have quick hands, as he stopped that burner right back through the middle and retired Orsulak.
Here's Todd Hundley. It's amazing. Every time we run into the Mets, see Hundley, his average is low, but against the Cubs, he's always hit very well. For this year, he's 6 out of 17, hitting .353 with 2 home runs, 2 out of his 9. Swung in a slow curve.
Hundley has the 9 home runs. All have been as a left-hand hitter, but he's only hitting .199 from the left side. Hitting .273 from the right side, but he has no power as a right-hand hitter, and there you see the disparity.
And hitting .209 for the year. Here's a high fly ball. Roberson is there. He'll make the catch. 2 away. In that game, we showed you, going back in memory, the no-hit game by Milt Pappas, the catcher was Randy Hundley, who, of course, is Todd Hundley's dad. 2 out, nobody on. Oh, there's the celebration. And Ron Santo is the first one out. There's Todd Hundley. And here is Eddie Murray, hitting .271, 21 homers, 80 RBIs. He's 7 out of 23 against Cub pitching. That's a 304 average. There's a ground ball. Grace has it. Guzman covers. 1, 2, 3. We're going to bottom of the first. No score. Harry Caray at Wrigley Field. The Cubs lineup presented by Diet Pepsi. Smith leading off. Vizcaino, hitting second. Sandberg at third. At second base, hitting third. Grace in the cleanup spot. Bouchel hitting fifth. Wilkins sixth. Sosa down batting seventh. Robert Roberson in left field hitting eighth. And Guzman with 111 and lost 9 on the mound. The defensive alignment for the Mets: Orsulak in left, Thompson in center, Burnitz in right. Bonilla, McKnight, Kent, and Murray around the infield. Hundley behind the plate, and Bobby Jones, a 23-year-old right-hander, is on the mound. He's won 1 and lost 2 so far this year.
Now, Jones is not overpowering. He's a control pitcher, and he had a couple of very good years in the minor leagues. His ERA at Columbia, his first year in A-ball, 185. The ERA at Binghamton, his second year, 188. He'll try to move the ball around, change speeds. This man was a sandwich pick, it's called. It's between the first and second round, and it's given his compensation for losing a Type A free agent. The free agent that the Mets lost was Darryl Strawberry to the Dodgers, and Bobby Jones is a direct result of their loss of Strawberry. And they think that he will be a starter in the rotation next year, making his 4th Major League start, and he was hit hard twice by Colorado.
White Smith takes the pitch high. Before the game, Florsheim gave the Feed of the Month award to Jose Guzman, and the Hustle award went to Sammy Sosa in pregame ceremony. 1 ball, 1 strike. Smitty takes a slow curve outside. Hey, there's Dallas Green, the manager of the Mets. There's a pitch foul out of play. All of you people down in the Peoria area will remember Ken Jones, who was a sports editor for many years of the Peoria Journal Star. Kenny is an avid Cub fan, and he's celebrating a birthday today. Smith has been called out on strike. 1 away. So birthday greetings to Kenny Jones, former sports editor of the Peoria Journal Star. 94 years old today.
You can see the wind blowing straight out. It's blowing at 8 miles an hour out of the southwest. Temperature 72.
Vizcaíno takes the first pitch. He was going to bunt. Pulled back, took a ball.
Bobby Jones has one thing in common with outstanding pitcher Tom Seaver. They're from the same high school in Fresno, California. He doesn't have Seaver's arm, however.
Swung, and he missed. Scotty Chisholm and his family are here. He's from Andes, that great jazz spot on Hubbard in downtown Chicago. Slow curve, 2 balls and the strike. 1 out. Swung, and he missed the slow curve. Bobby Jones mixing him up very well.
Looks like you're going to have to wait back on Jones, who doesn't look like he can throw the fastball consistently by anybody. He does throw the slow curve. He's got a good straight change, and you've got to keep the weight back to hit him.
Oh, did he swing at a terrible pitch? Wow, he could have used a stepladder on that. 2 gone. Ken Trenchard, his family are here. From Leona's, a fine restaurant.
Jones has got good size for a pitcher at 6'4", 210 pounds. And he still is a very young man with limited minor league experience.
Sandberg, who always has hit well against the Mets, hitting .455 this year with 10 out of 22. Hitting third tonight. Jim Lefevre has been constantly alternating his cleanup hitter since the injury to Derek May. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pulled on the change. Pops out, shortstop. Jeff McKnight makes the catch. 1, 2, 3. At the end of 1, no score. Harry Caray and Steve Stone. And Miss Chicago watching the ball game here tonight. And here's Bobby Bonilla. They can't be booing him in New York. He's already hit 31 homers, driven in 83 runs. What do they expect?
When Howard Johnson went down, Harry, Bonilla moved into third base. He's not the best third baseman around, but he is playing it for them and hitting from both sides of the plate.
He swings, fouls it off. I tell you, I know he's not a good third baseman, but I wouldn't mind having his bat at third base at this ballpark.
I wouldn't blame you there. He would be a big addition offensively, but the contract, Harry, $29 million over 5 years. That is a lot of change.
Well, somebody's got to pay it.
Yeah, that's somebody.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Hey, the Giants lead Atlanta 1-0 at the end of 2. The big rubber game in that series. The Braves must win. Bobby Bonilla trying to check his swing. He's out on strike. 4 in a row retired by Guzman.
William Knaus of Knaus Buick on hand tonight.
One out.
Here's a young man that the Mets are very high on. They think that he could be an everyday outfielder next year.
Jeremy Burnitz, left-hand hitter.
Right now he's making a lot of mistakes that young players make, but he's shown some pretty good power. And they say that he is a hustling type player.
Half swing, he fouls it off. 0-2. Steve Avery pitching against John Burkett in Atlanta. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, no score.
Now Burnitz has swung at some low curveballs out of the strike zone. Let's see if Jose goes down there. Tries to fool him on something off speed.
That evens it up, 2-2. Burnitz is only 24 years old. High pop fly, both Bouchel chicken can't reach it. It's a foul ball.
As you would expect here with the rains today, the grass is somewhat wet. And I don't think Steve Bouchel got a good start on this ball. Makes a good effort, but comes up a little short, and Jeremy Burnitz has another life.
One out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He swings and he misses. And Wilkins recovers the ball after it bounces into the dirt and throws them out.
And that was the low breaking ball we told you about that Burnitz has a tendency to swing at. This one bounces. Wilkins does a good job of blocking it. And the second straight strikeout. Not much of a chance if you're swinging at pitches like this. But then again, at 24, he's just feeling his way in the major league.
Two out, nobody on. 2 strikeouts in a row for Guzman. The crowd would be announced around 30,000. Not that there are that many here, but that's how many seats have been sold. I imagine all the night games have been sold.
Think a few people are going to miss this one?
A few. 1 ball, 1 strike. It'll be interesting to find out what the ratings are on WTBS tonight. Here's a line drive hit in the right field by Jeff Kent. And Dwight Smith grabs it. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the second. No score. Harry Caray back at Wrigley Field. We go into the bottom of the second. Here's Mark Great. First pitch in there, strike call. Ronald Zeman here tonight. Fouled it out of play.
Mark Grace should be one of the Cubs that can wait back long enough on Jones. Bobby Jones is not overpowering. He tries to fool you with the fastball by setting you up with some slow stuff. And let's see if Grace gets a good swing.
There's a foul ball upstairs here in the upper deck. 0-2 the count. We're in the bottom of the second. No score. Pitch outside. The Giants are leading the Braves 1-0 in the third. Bouncing foul.
Cub fans, for the second straight year, Mark Grace has been voted the most valuable player on the Cubs. Mark received 38% of more than 6,100 votes received. All proceeds from the Cub MVP effort benefit WGN's children's charities and Cubs Care. Congratulations, Mark, and thanks to everyone who voted.
There's a drive. Deep center field. Ryan Thompson might be out of here. Off the top of the wall. Here goes Grace's second base with a double. Boy, he just missed. Hitting a home run in the center field stand. Hit the top of the wall and bounced back to Ryan Thompson. A double.
This is a sinker out over the plate that didn't sink quite enough. In fact, the only time it sunk was just about on its way out of the ballpark as it sinks below the basket, and Mark Grace winds up at second base. So he's climbing up on the league leaders in doubles, and he hits the ball very hard against Bobby Jones.
That raises his batting average against the Mets to .500 this year. 11 out of 22. There's a pitch to Buechele. Buechele hitting .256, 12 homers, 51 RBIs. The big hitter this year against the Mets will be the next hitter, Rick Wilkins. He's had 4 of his 25 home runs have been hit against Mets pitching. And he's averaging .357 out of 20, and 4 of the 7 hits have been home runs.
Jones has given up 3 home runs in just 17 2/3 innings of work, and he almost gave up his 4th.
Line draw, a double play, a line drive to Eddie Murray, and Grace already was running towards third. Boy, that's a number of times that Grace has been doubled up on line drive.
That's about the 6th time this has happened, and it's really a terrible base running play. With nobody out, Mark Grace has to take a step back towards second base. If it goes through, well, you still have runners at first and third, nobody out. If it doesn't go through, you get taken out of an inning, and that's what happened as Grace gets doubled up at second.
Here's Wilkins now hitting .293 for the year. Slider inside, ball 1. He fouls the pitch back, evens it up. A ball and a strike. No score, the Mets and the Cubs. At Atlanta, the Giants are leading 1-0 in the bottom of the third. 2 balls and the strike, 2 out. He fouled it off, 2-2.
Mets have made 127 errors this year, and at best, you could say this was a very porous defensive team. McKnight, really a utility player, is playing shortstop. Kevin Baez occasionally plays shortstop. He's the better of the two defensively. McKnight, far and away, the best hitter.
There's a drive. Left field going to be caught. Joe Orsolak comes down with it to retire the side. The ball was well hit. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left. At the end of 2, no score. Harry Caray back at Wrigley Field. We go into the third, no score. Jeff McKnight will lead it off, hitting .261. A little bit outside, ball 1.
McKnight, a much better hitter from the left side. He is a switch hitter, but just 192 as a right-hand hitter, 282 as a left-hand hitter.
Swung and a miss.
I played with his father, Jim McKnight, in the farm system with the San Francisco Giants. So a talented McKnight family.
He started a swing. He held up in time. 2 balls and the strike. McKnight 0 for 4 against the Cubs this year. Outside. Boy, it's hard to figure out how the Mets could have gone so bad. There's ball 4. McKnight draws a pass. Well, about time for the Aflac trivia question of the night. Which Mets pitcher won 2 games in the '69 World Series? Well, I think you could almost name them all.
I'll take Gary Gentry.
I'm going to take...
Flip a coin.
I'm going to take... you got... How about Tug McGraw? Hard not to pick Seaver or Guzman. Probably Jerry Guzman. There's a pitch in there.
Brian Thompson came over along with Jeff Kent from Toronto in exchange for David Cohn. Thompson has been much slower developing than Jeff Kent, who's doing a fine job at second base offensively. And Thompson has all the tools to be very good, but he's struggled.
Stan Curl, runner back. 1 ball, 1 strike on Ryan Thompson. They think a lot of this young man. You know, Vince Coleman hasn't played for the Mets in better than a month. They have 71 stolen bases as a team. Coleman has more than half of them.
Well, he's not going to get any more, so he's got to be very happy with the 38 he has.
But that'll show you something about the rest of the team.
They have 1 slow ball club, and it's slow up and down the order. So if Dallas Green's going to make something happen, he's got to make it happen with a hit and run. You very rarely see a straight steal.
Barry Bonds has just made it 2-0 Giants. A home run of Steve Avery in the 4th. And he swings and he misses. I tell you, Guzman's change is a very effective one.
It's home run number 40 for Barry Bonds, Harry. And that is your MVP this year. And I think regardless of what anybody does from here on in, you can write Barry Bonds' name in.
2 balls, 2 strikes. A looper in the short center field for Thompson, a base hit. And there goes McKnight all the way to 3rd.
Cub fans, get your free copy of the Chicago Cubs holiday gift catalog by calling toll-free 1-800-745-CUBS. The Cubs gift catalog offers hundreds of unique and exciting holiday gifts for your favorite Cubs fan. Call and order your holiday gift catalog today at 1-800-745-CUBS.
Runners at 1st and 3rd, and that brings up pitcher Bobby Jones. He's batted 5 times this year, 0 for 5.
Odds are he's going to be laying one down, and he would like to bunt it up the first base side. Steve Buechele will be charging hard at 3rd, and Grace has got to hold Thompson at 1st.
Guzman. 1 ball, no strikes.
It's Mike Kubich, the 3rd base coach, flashing the signs to Bobby Jones. He gets those signs from Dallas Green. And now he talks with Jeff McKnight at 3rd.
Runners first and third. Guzman. Infield playing back around short and second. Buechele in shallow at third in anticipation of the bunt. The bunt down the first base line. Fielded by Grace, throws to Sandberg for a sacrifice.
Pretty tough sacrifice by Jones. He almost got hit with that pitch. Managed to get the bunt down. This is a good job of bunting by Bobby Jones. Take a look at where this pitch is. It's high and in. He did this for self-protection. If he doesn't bunt that ball, it's going to hit him in the chest.
Runners at second and third. One out. Joe Ursulak, who's hit well against the Cubs this year. Curveball outside or a slider. He's 7 out of 19 going in. A .368 batting average.
Jim Lefebvre is telling you that he thinks he's going to score because the infield is back. Normally, if you're facing a guy like Doc Gooden, you might think about playing the infield in this situation. But Jim Lefebvre feels they're going to get to Bobby Jones. He doesn't want to give up the big inning, so he's going to play him back at least in the middle.
Pitch high and outside. Two balls and the strike. The Mets have won only 46 games while losing 87. And 18 less victories than the Cubs. The Giants are doing well in Atlanta. Barry Bonds led off the fourth with a homer.
He saw the difference in the expansion year, the first year New York Mets of '62, and this ball club here in '93. The batting average, very similar. Earned run average, a little bit lower this year. Games behind, certainly a whole lot better. The Mets had a lot of rebuilding to do. They did it. They did a good job of it, and they did it with arms. That's how the Mets built their organization. They built it on pitching. And they've lost sight of that particular fact as there's been a real drought in pitching in the New York Met organization.
Here's Hundley. He's hitting the 9 double plays this year, and that's what Guzman needs right here. A little bit outside. He's walked 2.
Wilkins going out to have a word with Guzman. Jose in a jam, and there's Billy Connors. Jim Lefebvre looking on. Although this doesn't mean much in the standings, it's a very big series for the Cubs. They're 5 games under 500. That's the lowest they've been this year. The Pirates are 1 game behind them in their pursuit of 4th place. And the Cubs would like to beat this woeful Met team. But the Mets have played pretty hard, although they've been outmanned by most of the teams they play.
Swung and he missed. The bases loaded with 1 out, no score in the ball game. Todd Hundley, son of Randy Hundley, fine Cub catcher of yesteryear. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2. 2 balls and the strike. They're playing Hundley to pull way around towards right.
He's shown over the course of his very brief career that at least from the left side, he's a dead pull hitter. They've been trying to get him to go to left and left center field on occasion. And with that in mind, Roberson well off the line into left center.
The Giants have chased Steve Avery in the 4th. There's a long drive. Left field might be out of here. It could be. It is a home run. A grand slam for Todd Hundley. And boy, I told you, that's his 3rd home run against the Cubs this year. And the Mets now lead 4-0. A grand slam by Randy Hundley's son, Todd.
Well, we talked about going to left center field, and that's what Hundley did with the wind blowing that way ever so slightly. Hundley has now driven in 45 runs, and Jose Guzman has done what he's done all year. That is give up the long ball. That's his 24th home run. You see the location, a high fastball out over the plate. And Hundley takes it way back.
I wonder, here's a bouncing ball. Grace Fields that steps on the bag. How many high fastballs? I bet you at least 23 of those home runs were hit on high fastballs.
Well, unfortunately, Guzman really doesn't have a sinker, Harry, and his natural fastball is one that stays above the belt, which makes it a little tough in this park as we watch the reaction of Todd Hundley, who has always terrorized Cub pitching.
Now the pitch swung on, tap right to Guzman, over to first to retire the side, but 4 runs on 2 hits. Nobody left on base. We go in the bottom of the third, 4-0 Mets. Harry Caray with Steve Stone and Tom Brennaman as we go in the bottom of the third. Todd Hundley is now hitting .388 against the Cubs this year. He's had 7 out of 18. He's hit his third home run of the year against Chicago. He has 10 home runs all told, 3 of the 10 against the Cubs. Here's Sosa to lead it off. Bobby Jones with a 4-0 lead.
Now, Sammy can just be patient with Jones. He should get a pretty good pitch to hit here. The reason being, he's got to know as quick as he is, Jones cannot throw the fastball by him. So you get up on the plate, dare him to throw it inside, and take a good rip.
Swung and he missed. Sosa hitting .261. 29 homers, 77 RBI. Bobby Jones on the hill shooting for his second victory. The low ball, 3. 3 balls and the strike. The Giants are leading Atlanta 4-0. In the bottom of the third, they knocked out Steve Avery. Strike call, 3-2. Three balls, 2 strikes. In the bottom of the third, 4-0. Todd Hundley, a grand slam. Line drive going to be caught right at Orslack in left field.
Cub fans, join Harry Caray, Mark Grace, Rick Wilkins, and Ernie Banks for the greatest offseason event in all of baseball. It's the 1994 Cubs Convention, February 11th through the 13th at the Chicago Hilton and Towers, and sponsored by Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy a weekend of fun with all your favorite Cub players and coaches, both past and present. For more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
Well, coming into this ball game, Hundley was hitting .209. There's a base hit for Roberson. On the first pitch, he singles the left. Here's Guzman. And that .209 batting average would be less if you took out what he had done against the Cubs previously. But anyway, say .209. But against the Cubs, he's hitting .388. 3 of his 10 home runs have been against the Cubs. Does that tell you something about the Cub pitching, or is that just a coincidence?
Or the fact that Todd Hundley gets mighty psyched up when he faces the team that his father played for.
Here's Guzman. 1 out, 1 on. He bunts. A sacrifice. Well, the Aflac trivia question. I don't know the answer. The second time, with Guzman. Yeah. There's the answer. Jerry Guzman. Boy, all those giant pitchers, any one of them could have won 2 in the World Series. Boy, they had pitching in those days, headed by, of course, Tom Seaver.
You can imagine, Harry, an organization that brings Jerry Guzman, Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, Tug McGraw, all to the major leagues. And that's how they built their organization. And it's been a very successful organization for the last few years. And this year, Harry, they're the first to admit it's been a very embarrassing year for them off the field. This has been perhaps the worst year they've had in that department.
And so they got to go back to basics and rebuild. Dwight Smith swings and he misses. 0-2. We're in the third.
There's not a lot of help in the minor leagues for the Mets, but one of the guys they will be bringing back is Anthony Young, who's going to move in the starting rotation.
I think he's here already. Pitch into the dirt. And that'll be an interesting story indeed. If he should turn things around next year and be a star pitcher.
Well, Harry, they're counting on him as one of the candidates for the 4th or 5th starting spot. They know next year they're going to get back a healthy Sid Fernandez, Brett Saberhagen, and Dwight Gooden. And that's 3 pretty good building blocks for rotation, but they're looking for number 4 and number 5 if they sign Sid Fernandez.
There's a ground ball to McKnight over to first in time. 2 away. But that's the 3rd out, rather. I'm sorry. So Tommy will be coming along in a moment. Harry Caray from Wrigley Field. We're at the end of 3. The Mets are leading 4-0.
Hi again, everybody. Back with our producer, director Arnie Harris and Steve Stone. I'm Tom Brennaman back at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Todd Hundley returns home to the friendly confines of ballpark he grew up in, slugs a 3rd inning grand slam.
Todd Hundley doesn't hit against anybody else, but he certainly murders the Cubs, and that's one of the reasons why he's in the starting lineup. Tommy's hitting .209 against the rest of the league, and Cub pitchers can't seem to get him out.
He has now hit 3 home runs in his career, and really up until this season, he's never been much of a home run hitter, but 3 against the Cubbies.
Well, he's mighty strong from the left side, and unfortunately, that's how Guzman had to face him. And he threw a high fastball that went out of the ballpark.
Jeremy Burnitz to begin the New York 4th inning. He struck out against Guzman back in the 2nd. They like this young man. At least they like his power and his defense. There's a grounder back up through the middle into center field, a base hit.
Mets have some tough decisions ahead of them, as do all teams, but they have intimated they will not be re-signing Eddie Murray, whose contract runs out. But they do want to sign Sid Fernandez, who also is eligible to be a free agent. And he's one of the guys they look to have a big year next year if he is indeed healthy.
Well, he's come back here lately and thrown pretty well.
Year after year, Tommy, he's one of the toughest pitchers in the National League to hit against. And hitters will tell you they just can't pick up the ball from Sid Fernandez. He still has very much of a live arm.
Leadoff single by Burnitz. And here's Jeff Kent. The light toss will send him back to the bag. Kent, his first time up, flying to right fielder Dwight Smith. On the ground, Bouchel, good pickup. They get 1, and they won't even try to throw at first base. Fine play by Steve Bouchel on a hot smash to his left.
Jeremy Burnitz had his eyes set on Ryne Sandberg. There was no way he was going to let him get the throw off. Sandberg gets the force, and here comes Burnitz. He goes sliding through. Sandberg up, never gets a return throw to first, and an excellent play by Steve Bouchel.
That'll bring up Jeff McKnight. He started the 4-run party in the 3rd inning with a leadoff walk. Went to 3rd on a single by Thompson. After a bunt, Orsulak drew a walk to load him up, and then Hundley played long ball to the seats in left center. His first career grand slam home run.
I'd like to pass along birthday greetings from the crew to Nancy Gunn from Maplewood, Minnesota.
That ball ripped down the right field line. It's fair. On his way to third base is Kent. And they will hold him there into second base. Sliding with a double is Jeff McKnight. So Guzman, who retired the first 6 batters he faced in the game, has now given up a total of 4 hits and 4 runs since.
The fastball right down the middle, and Mark Grace comes off the bag, and the ball goes behind him. Now, first baseman has to do that. Sometimes you get lucky and it hits right at you. Sometimes it's hit in back of you, and that's the case with McKnight, who records his 2nd double of the year.
Braves on a comeback trail in the bottom of the 4th inning against the Giants. They come up with 2, and as they head for the 5th, San Francisco holding a 3-2 lead. Now they're going to intentionally pass Thompson with the pitcher Bobby Jones waiting on deck.
Jose Guzman has really had his problems at night as opposed to during the daytime. Most surprising. Most pitchers will tell you they like to pitch at night. But looking at Guzman's numbers, you can tell 5.53 ERA in night games, home runs allowed, dwarfing those of day games. And the key is runners per 9 innings, Tommy, because that's a combination of walks and base hits. And pitching through 14 runners per 9 innings and trying to keep your ERA down is close to impossible, especially for Jose Guzman, because he's not a sinker baller. He will not get a lot of ground balls in situations where you need double plays because of that lack of a sinker. And that's one of the reasons why he's given up so many runs this year on long balls.
Well, the bases are loaded again. Bobby Jones will be the batter. 0 for 5 in his career. No activity yet in the Cub bullpen. Thompson at first. McKnight at second. Kent is down at third. They're pulled in on the corners. And there's strike 1 to Jones.
There's a look at Dallas Green. Talked to him for an extended period before the game.
I like Dallas Green.
Well, he tells you like it is. There's no beating around the bush with Dallas.
That's why I like him.
He will tell you the straight story and always has, even when he was general manager here.
0-2 to Bobby Jones.
Before the game, Shawon Dunston went up to Dallas, gave him a big hello, telling him that you were always in my corner. You drafted me number 1. And you still support me? And Dallas said, sure. He said, I'd like to see you in a game or 2 before the end of the year, but sure, we're still supporting you. But he was the number 1 pick over Dwight Gooden.
0-2 to Bobby Jones, and he strikes out swinging. So a big out for Guzman. His 3rd strikeout of the game. They're still loaded for left fielder Joe Orsulak.
You know, Tommy, had a chance to talk with Gary Hunsicker before the game, and he's the assistant vice president of baseball operations. He'll be the number 2 man behind Joe McIlvaine. McIlvaine spending a lot of time in California tying things up, and Hunsicker taking all the pressure that this year has given the New York Mets. And he said there's so many holes to fill. They're not going to try to fill them all this winter. They're going to have to do it a little bit at a time.
Here's Orsulak. He has walked, scored, hit a hot smash back to the mound leading off the ball game that Guzman knocked down. It fell at his feet. He picked it up and threw him out. This guy, despite all the chaos in New York, has had a pretty fine year.
Along with Dave Gallagher, that's been a platoon system in left field, and both of them have hit the ball pretty well.
Got jammed with a pitch air from Guzman. It goes to 0-2.
Gary Hunsinger said that although both these guys, Gallagher and Orsulak, can be free agents, they're going to try to sign both of them. They like that platoon system. And I think both of these guys are capable major leaguers and have been very consistent during some trying times at Shea Stadium.
Bases loaded. 4-0 New York lead in the 4th inning. 2 men are out. The 0-2 pitch. And it missed away. This is
probably the biggest out of the ball game for Jose Guzman. Give up a base hit here. Things are looking a little dim. You get this guy out, you're still only 4 runs down, and you're facing a rookie in only his 4th major league start.
The 1-2 delivery, and it's hit back up through the middle. This will bring in a pair. Scoring from third is Kent. McKnight races in from second. A 2-run single by Joe Orsulak, and now it is 6-0 New York.
Well, it looks to be about time to get somebody up in the bullpen, as Jose Guzman has struggled once again here. Runs batted in 30 and 31 for Joe Orsulak, who's knocking at the door of 300. You can see it's another waist-high pitch. Even though it's out away, waist-high, tough to get people out in the major leagues, and Guzman has had problems with that. And the Mets looking like a championship team instead of a team 38 games back in the National League East.
With the worst record in baseball. They've already lost 87 games this season. But nobody getting loose. Cubs are already down 6-0. We're only in the 4th inning. 2 on, 2 men out. Hundley hit a grand slam home run his last time up, the first of his big league career. Sandberg will feed Vizcaino to end the inning. Couple of more runs for the Mets on 3 hits. They leave 2. We head for the bottom of the 4th. Mets leading 6-0. Hope we're not bugging you too badly here tonight on this Thursday from the Windy City.
Well, I've always accused Arnie of bugging this booth, and tonight is no exception.
I was going to turn that table on you.
That's part of the conspiracy theory.
Right.
Cubs have to climb back a long way against the New York Mets, down 6-0. Nobody up in the bullpen, as apparently Jim Lefevre wants to see Jose Guzman get in his work tonight.
So do the Mets. Vizcaino, Sandberg, and Grace due up in the inning. Vizcaino struck out against Bobby Jones back in the first. They play Vizcaino to go the other way. And he looks at strike 1 from Jones. What do you think of this young man so far, Stoney?
Well, tonight's his best night so far as a starter in the major leagues, Tommy. His ERAs in the minor leagues were outstanding.
Well, they've talked about him for quite some time since he became their #1 pick, as Murray handles a ground ball for the first out.
Well, he's here only because Darryl Strawberry's in Los Angeles, and we talked about it before. It's called a sandwich pick, and it comes between the 1st and 2nd round. So it really is a first-round pick, only you get it right at the end of that first round, and that's how they picked Bobby Jones. And he had a very fast rise through the organization out of Fresno, California. A year in A-ball, a year in Double-A, part of this year at Triple-A, and here he is in the major leagues.
Sandberg looking to extend the hitting streak to 14 games. He popped up to short his first trip. Cubs at their low water mark of the season, 5 games under 500. They're hoping to get fat on the Mets in this series, but they're trailing here in the opener 6-0 in the bottom of the 4th.
And it doesn't get any easier, Tommy, because after the Mets conclude this 4-game series, it's on to Philadelphia. And we saw enough of the Phillies to last us for a while. And in their home park, they're doubly tough.
Boy, their record at home is just staggering. 46 wins against just 22 losses. And that next road trip will start in Philly. As you see what Gray, Sandberg, Wilkins, and Smitty have done to New York pitching this season, everybody else not yet to hit a home run. 3-1 to Sandberg. But that next trip, it's Philly, New York, and then the Western Division leading Giants in Candlestick. Here's ball 4 to Sandberg, the first issue tonight by the New York right-hander.
I'd like to send along birthday greetings to Max Rodriguez, son of our engineer in charge, Russ Rodriguez.
Indeed.
This is a situation that has turned into some double plays this year for Mark Grace. With Rhino on, Grace has grounded into 21 double plays. Let's see if the Cubs here try to get something going. It's tough to sit back and wait for the long ball, although tonight the wind is blowing out, but not much of a factor, blowing out at just 8 miles an hour out of the southwest.
Well, the New York Mets are leading the Chicago Cubs here tonight 6-0. The New York Yankees are leading the Chicago White Sox 6-0.
Now, will the Giants be leading the Bears 6-0 in the first quarter? Because everybody playing New York teams, and these are the teams that you love to beat.
Grace doubled to deep left center back in the 2nd inning, but then was guilty once again of some suspect base running on a line drive hit by Steve Buechele. Grace was easily doubled up at first.
I have a hard time understanding that, Tommy. Knowing where you are in a game, nobody out, last thing you want to do is get taken out of the inning, and that's what happened.
Easy play for Thompson this time. 2 men out. Sandberg back to first.
Well, you can tell what kind of a night it is here, and you can tell why some of the players have bugs in their eyes. It is a very buggy night here. Hasn't affected the Mets hitters, however. Maybe the bug's only in the Cubs' eyes.
And there you see the New York Yankees, a 6th spot in the bottom of the 4th inning in New York. The Mets in this game got 4 in the 3rd, 2 more in the 4th. That ball fouled away. 1-1 to Steve Buechele. Well, we invite you to be with us tomorrow here on WGN for Game 2 of this series. Pair of left-handers will be locking up in that one. Greg Hibbard at 10 up, 11 down against veteran Frank Tanana, 6-13 of New York. And the first pitch is 2:20 tomorrow. One and 2 to Buechele, and it's hit hard, but fielded by McKnight. They get the force at second, which ends the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 man left. We go to the 5th, 6-0, Mets in front. 6-0 New York. We head for the 5th inning. I'm Tom Brennaman, back with Steve Stone. Our producer-director is Arnie Harris. Our associate producer, Joe Corneo. And glad you're aboard on this Thursday night from Chicago. Eddie Murray looks at ball 1.
You don't hear much about Eddie Murray anymore. All he does is continually put up great numbers. Hit 21 home runs, 80 driven in. He'll wind up probably a 25-90 man this year.
And that's nothing new for Eddie Murray.
Well, he probably will be in the Hall of Fame and go down as one of the most powerful switch hitters that ever lived. Eddie Murray, at the advanced age of 37 or 38, probably will be looking for another job next year. The Mets have shown no intention of signing him after his contract runs out.
You know, you keep thinking this guy is not going to be able to put up the numbers as he gets a little bit older. But then every season, as you mentioned, you look up there, he's knocked in 90. And there you see the hit leaders, number 35. And certainly if Murray gets a chance over the next 2 seasons, he'll collect hit number 3,000.
He would have to play every day, however, and that might be a tough thing to ask. Of course, depending on who needs a first baseman.
Smitty over near the line, a long run, and he'll not be able to get it. It's a foul ball. Boy, Smitty kind of circled around that ball, and by the fine time he had a beat on it, he couldn't get there.
White Smith should have made this catch. He just didn't. It wasn't an easy play, but certainly catchable, and it goes as no play. Howard Johnson lost to this team for the year, had surgery on his thumb. In his place, Bobby Bonilla has taken 3rd. And they expect Howard Johnson to come back, but another free agent, Tommy. They don't know what they're going to do with Howard Johnson yet.
I'd be very surprised if he were back here next year. 1-2 to Eddie Murray. And the fastball missed.
The Cubs will not be seeing Dwight Gooden in this series, and that's always good news because he beats them like a rented donkey. But Dwight is serving a 5-day suspension, has decided to serve it now, and so they don't have to look at him. He was supposed to pitch on Sunday, although he came out of his last start with a bit of a tender shoulder, and he was still iffy. They had undecided down on the Mets rotation.
3-2 now to Murray, who has bounced to first twice in the ball game. Mets got a grand slam from Hundley off Guzman in the 3rd. A 2-run bases loaded single by Orsulak in the 4th. 6-0 Mets. Grace knocks it down in time to recover, and Murray retired to open up the New York 5th inning. Well, one thing Bobby Bonilla has done this season is play. Ever since Dallas Green took over, Bonilla volunteered to go to 3rd base. He's hit 31 home runs, one shy of his career back in 1990 of 32 then with the Pirates. But this season, all you have to do is scratch his name in the lineup, and he's in there.
Let's look at most games played. Lenny Dykstra, Bobby Bonilla, Jeff Bagwell, and Jeff Conine. They've played in every game this year. And that's unusual in this day and age. There are very few Cal Ripkins around. Men who just play regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how they feel, and regardless of the injury situation, which usually sets in sometime during the course of the year.
One and two to Bonilla, who has struck out and bounced back to Guzman. And he loves hitting here in the Windy City. And that ball hammered to deep left center. Forget about it. Bonilla has tied his career high, number 32 of the year. 7-0 New York.
And for Jose Guzman, that is home run given up number 25. Bobby Bonilla now has driven in 84 runs. Jim Lefevre still with nobody up in the bullpen. And the Mets pulling away at 7-zip.
Boy, that ball was smoked by Bonilla.
And now the bullpen is up and going, and the fans here in Chicago giving a cheer as we watch Bonilla getting a waist-high fastball out away. And it goes out over that very comfortable 368 sign.
Guzman has already thrown 78 pitches, and we're in the 5th inning. New York with a 7-0 lead. And Chuck McElroy is the man indeed getting loose. Burnett's 1 for 2, has struck out and singled to center. Well, for all the ridicule that Bonilla took last year, and certainly most of it was brought on himself, you have to tip your hat to the guy this year. He's responded, played very hard. We showed you the graphic, played in every game. So whatever it is Dallas Green told him, he's taken heed to those words of advice. Somebody looking for your job down there, Stoney, with a microphone.
Well, you never know what's going to happen, Tom. They're doing their own television show as we speak.
In the air to right, Dwight Smith waiting, and Burnett's retired for the 2nd out of the inning.
See, it's easy. Everybody wants a microphone, Tommy. Probably the best way to do it.
That's Jeff Ennis. Graduate of the University of Illinois. They're doing the play-by-play, little color down in the New York dugout.
Well, when you're 30, now they're 37 games out of first place. When you're that far back, you might as well have a little fun in this game.
Did you do that down in the dugout in your days with the Orioles, Cubs, or White Sox? Practice up?
Well, as a matter of fact, I never considered the possibility of coming in the booth.
Oh, come on.
No, I didn't. I just was trying to hang on.
To what is the question?
Trying to get a couple more years under my belt, but it wasn't to be after that 1982 season. But he's shown you how easy it is, Tommy. I think he's imitating Harry down there.
I think he is, too. See if we can hear any of this. 1-1 to Jeff Kent. And that ball hit hard, but waiting and making the play is Roberson, which ends the inning. They'll go to a break just like we will. Through 4.5, 7-0 New York. Bottom of the 5th inning, Cubs in a 7-0 hole against right-hander Bobby Jones. They'll be sending up Rick Wilkins, Sammy Sosa, and Kevin Roberson.
And if anybody gets on, undoubtedly Jose Guzman will depart for a pinch hitter. With that in mind, the bullpen up and going once again, and it's still Chuck McElroy. Not difficult to get loose on a night like tonight. It was only 72 degrees, but seems much higher because of the humidity.
Wilkins, his first time up, a liner to left fielder Joe Orsulak. Mets with 4 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 1 more in the 5th. 5 of the 7 runs have come via the long ball. Popped up. Jeff Kent waving off Jeff McKnight. 1 down.
Kent's a pretty good story for the Mets because he's taken over at second base. He still has some problems going to his right trying to backhand the ball, but defensively he's gotten a whole lot better. And with the bat, he's having a very consistent year. So they've got a talented youngster at second. They think that he's one of the guys they can build around, and they view him as a 25 home run man eventually.
Well, he's already set a New York Mets team franchise record for home runs by a second baseman. He has 16 of those this season. And he had a terrible start. Sammy Sosa lined Orsulak in left, leading off the third. Been a rough spell here lately for Sosa since hitting his 29th home run back on August the 18th. Giants still leading the Braves at the end of 5 in Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, 3-2. As it goes to 2-1 on Sosa. Steve Avery lifted in favor of Jay Howell in that game. Barry Bonds hitting his 40th home run of the season.
That last cut is what Billy Williams was trying to explain to Sammy Sosa and a few other Cub hitters. When you have a pitcher in a hole 2-0, that's when you take your real big healthy swing if you get a fastball in the zone. Anything else, probably good to take it. But Billy wants the Cubs to be aggressive when they're ahead of the pitchers. The problem is, Tommy, you have a lot of guys that are not that confident they can hit with 2 strikes. Consequently, they don't want to get down in the count, and they get over anxious. And you saw Sammy, he swung at 2 pitches out of the strike zone, and after being ahead of Jones 2-0, he's back even at 2-2.
You know, I want to ask you about something here, Stoney, and your answer here in a moment. I know a lot of fans always say, why in the world is it the Cubs every single season they continue to be the least patient of all teams in the National League as Sosa strikes out? Third of the game for Bobby Jones, 2 down in the 5th. But every year, and this season will be an exception only because of the expansion Colorado Rockies, where the Cubs will not be last in terms of fewest walks drawn during the regular year.
Well, the one man who draws walks consistently is Mark Grace, and coincidentally, he's the best hitter on this team. Tommy, if you draw bases on balls, you go deep in the count, you give the pitcher a chance to make more mistakes. But young players, and the Cubs have had a lot of young players, even though they're experienced in the major leagues, they're still very young like Sosa. They don't want to get down 2 strikes because they don't have the confidence they can hit from that position.
Shawon Dunston waiting on deck. This would be his first appearance since May of last season. Let's see if Roberson will give Dunston a chance to bat. He is scheduled to hit for the pitcher, Jose Guzman.
And let's go back to the 1982 draft where the Cubs drafted number 1. Dallas Green, then the general manager, took Shawon Dunston. Augie Schmidt, Jimmy Jones, Brian Olkers, and the 5th pick, Dwight Gooden of the New York Mets. And you know how that pick worked out.
Yeah. Taken high, 2-2 to Roberson. So Shawon Dunston activated from the disabled list yesterday. Waiting on deck. Roberson singled his first time up. New York in front, 7-0, bottom of the 5th inning. Full count. And the payoff to Roberson, strike 3 swinging. We won't see Dunston here in the 5th. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs. We're heading for the 6th inning. 7-0 New York. Top of the 6th inning at Wrigley Field in Chicago, and the Cubs are trailing 7-0. They're here from Munich, Germany tonight. Boy, that's a long trip to catch a ball game, but if you're going to do it, this is a place to come watch one.
And there were plenty of seats available tonight and plenty of seats available through the weekend. If you want to come on down, the game's dwindling to a precious few here at Wrigley Field. 4 games with the Mets after tonight, 3 left, and then 1 more homestand, and that's it.
That ball hit hard down the right field line. It'll go into the corner. Smitty over to cut it off. McKnight racing into second base with his 2nd double of the game. He has been aboard all 3 times. Pair of 2 base hits and a walk.
Although you wouldn't know it tonight, watching the Mets attack, which has been pretty effective against Guzman. Another high fastball, another double. The Mets are 28th in most every category you care to mention. 28th in wins, batting average, 28th in hits, 28th in on-base percentage, 28th in saves. And there's Chuck McElroy. And there is the sour apple, Major League rankings this year. And the Mets have put together just a terrible season. They've had the same kind of injuries as other people. more off-the-field adventures than probably 10 teams would care to have.
Oh, boy.
That's been an embarrassing year for them, and the hierarchy is quick to admit that.
One and one to Ryan Thompson. McKnight begins the New York sixth with a double. Thompson has singled to center field, scored a run, and been intentionally walked. And he fouled that one off his foot. He is in some pain.
Good to mention at this point that the Cub minor leagues had a banner day yesterday. They went 7-0, the whole minor league system undefeated yesterday. And Iowa, who defeated Oklahoma City, has a 5-game lead over New Orleans with just 5 games to go. So Iowa's magic number for winning the American Association is just 1. Don't expect too many guys coming back to this team before the playoffs because they don't want to decimate that Iowa team going into the playoffs. And so it should be till the second week or so of September before we see some of the youngsters coming up.
You know, that's a philosophy a lot of teams have taken, Stoney, that when you have a group of young players, give them a taste of winning together. So then they know what it's like as a group. Should they all make it to the major leagues at one time, maybe at least a couple, 3 of them from a particular team having a championship ring. And you do get one if you win AAA equivalent of a World Series as Thompson strikes out. I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea, too. And I think with all the problems that we've seen in Iowa this year, it's something to grab onto if the Iowa club does indeed go on to win, which it looks like they're going to do. But it's good for the community. It's certainly good for the players to know what it's like to be on a championship team before they get to the major leagues.
Bobby Jones has pitched a very fine ball game here tonight. By far and away the best of his very young major league career. It's only his 4th big league start. As a batter, he's 0 for 1 and has put down a sacrifice. It goes to 0-2 on Bobby Jones. Guzman trying to get through this 6th inning. He'll obviously be taken down for a pinch hitter when the Cubs come to bat in the bottom of the 6th.
And that's when we'll probably get a look at Shawon Dunston. It'll be nice to see him getting in the batter's box. Jim Lefevre trying to use him in situations that don't put a lot of pressure on his back. He's not going to play him at shortstop too much.
There's strike 3, and Jones goes down looking. 5th strikeout of the game for Jose Guzman.
Joe Orsulak is a very good role player for the Mets. He knows he's not going to play every day, and he accepts that role as a platoon player. And acceptance is the first step in excelling in that role, which is not an easy one.
Orsulak, a 2-run bases loaded single back in the 4th. He walked and scored in the 3rd. And looks at a ball away. Two and 0.
Todd Hundley on deck, and the way he swung the bat against the Cubs, you know that they don't want to face him with 2 men on.
New York leading 7-0. McKnight at second base with 2 men out. That ball in the air Dwight Smith's way. It should in the inning and does. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We've played 5.5 in the friendly confines, and thus far not a pretty picture. April 10th, a season ago, the Cubs home opener against the St. Louis Cardinals. Shawon Dunston dropping in a base hit. It went as a triple when all was said and done, but this will be his first appearance, Tony, since May the 4th of 1992.
Shawon Dunston getting a nice hand from the crowd. And it's got to be strange. You know he's got butterflies just coming back. He's been away a long time. And the Cubs could dearly use a healthy Shawon Dunston next year.
Shawon, a 2-time National League All-Star, had a herniated disc removed from his back May the 13th of last season by Dr. Michael Schaefer. He has appeared in 909 games at shortstop for the Cubs, the 5th highest total at that position in franchise history. And he looks at a strike.
Cubs have been able to do absolutely nothing with young Bobby Jones. A double by Grace, a single by Roberson, and that's been it through 5.
Been a long road back for Dunston, putting tireless hours in the swimming pool. He couldn't even ride in a car or get in a plane or any kind of transportation as you look at his career numbers after the surgery. And he hits it on the ground, fielded by Bonilla in foul fairground, and he throws him out.
Saturday night on WGN, it's the newest creation from the wonderful world of Disney. Don't miss the special 2-hour premiere of a very special detective and his pals in Cartoon World. Going Bonkers, the story of Bonkers T. Bobcat, Saturday night at 7 on WGN Channel 9.
Oh, a nice round of applause. The fans again welcoming back Shawon Dunston of the Cubs. One down, bottom of the 6th, in New York, a 7-0 lead. Smitty is 0 for 2. That one mashed into center field, a base hit.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
Smitty, a one-out single, and that'll bring up Jose Vizcaino. He has struck out and bounced to Eddie Murray down at first base. And McElroy will come in to take over for Guzman when the Mets bat in the 7th.
Just got a magazine sent to me by an old buddy of mine and former Major League player, Lou Klimchak, who's in charge of a publication called The Diamond, the official chronicle of Major League Baseball. Proceeds of The Diamond help Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association. It's a pretty good publication. The September issue with Babe Ruth on the cover has a story about Hall of Famer and our partner, Harry Caray.
Lou's a good guy. He was out in that Arizona Fall League he was working with last season, if I'm not mistaken.
He is that, and trying to put this magazine together, Tommy, it's not an easy task, but they do a nice job. Nice articles, good camera work, and of course it's the benefit, the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association. There's a lot of alumni, Tommy, that played in an era when there wasn't much money in this game and certainly could use the help. So good luck, Lou, with your publication, The Diamond.
Murray playing behind the runner at first with the Mets leading 7-0 in the 6th inning. And again, bugs certainly a factor as Jones has to bat him around his face. Only given the Cubs a total of 3 hits in the game. 3-1.
John Franco is back now and active after spending his 2nd stint on the disabled list. This time he pulled something in his rib cage. John Franco hasn't been his usual dominating self. Still a pretty good stopper. He's 3-0 with 9 saves, but he's only been in 27 games, spending a great deal of this season on the disabled list.
Runner going, and it's lined into right field. It'll fall in for a hit. Smith on to third base. Here comes the throw. It's up the line a bit. And Vizcaino will get back into first. So runners on the corners with 1 away, and Mark Grace will give Sandberg some words of encouragement as he walks to the plate.
High fastball, and Vizcaino takes advantage of it. The Cubs do break out the hit and run. We haven't seen it very often, but it's effective this time. And Dwight Smith with the head first slide into third. And here comes Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach of the New York Mets. Hasn't had a lot to work with this year. It's been a very disappointing year for the Mets. A 4.20 team ERA. Cubs not too much better at 4.14 coming into tonight's action.
Well, a series like this in early September, both managers have been through long seasons. Of course, Jim Lefebvre in this his 2nd at the head of the Cubs, and Dallas Green taking over for the fired Jeff Torborg. You got to find a way to motivate the team, however, because you do have a month left, and in Jim Lefebvre's case, he's hoping to return as skipper next year, although it's not guaranteed.
Well, his contract is up this year, and he knows how important this last month is going to be, not only to his ball club, but to him personally. To a man, Tommy, the Cubs have said that they'd like to see Jim Lefevre return. Mark Grace very vocal in his praise of Lefevre's handling of this young team.
Runners on the corners. Cubs trying to get on the board for the first time tonight. And Sandberg looking to extend his hitting streak to 14 games. He's 0 for 1, has drawn a walk. And Jones deals him a strike.
Bullpen up and going now for the Mets.
Looks like Manzanillo getting loose in the New York pen.
Looks just like Manzanillo.
And the count of 1-1. It's a good stab at it.
Well, you know, Tommy, as we move into September, we're going to start seeing a lot of guys from these clubs come up that we haven't heard about, their top prospects. However, some of the teams that are still involved with postseason play will leave most of their guys, as we talked about, at the AAA level, letting them participate in the playoffs. Mets will get a few guys back. And the Cubs probably will not get anybody back till Iowa is eliminated. Or until they win it all, which is a possibility.
Runners at first and third, 1 out. 1-1 to Sandberg, and he can't get it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jones is fanned 4, walked only 1.
Coming into this game, Jones had made 3 starts and only thrown a combined 16 2/3 innings. So he's not used, at least to in the major leagues, to going deep into the ball game.
New York leading 7-0 in the bottom of the 6th. Jones will send Vizcaino back to the bag. 2 on, 1 out. Those aren't bad numbers for Sandberg against New York. They've had some pretty solid pitching ever since he came to the major leagues. This will be 2. McKnight, Kent, double play ends the inning. 2 hits, 1 left at the end of 6 with Harry coming back aboard in the 7th. Still a 7-0 New York lead.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Caray with Steve Stone and Tom Brennaman as we go into the 7th. And the Mets are leading and leading big. 7-0.
Chuck McElroy on the mound, and McElroy 2-2, ERA 5.12, on for the 40th time. He's going to try to stem the Mets' tide.
Todd Hundley comes up, batting right-handed. 1 out of 3 left-handed against Guzman, and what a 1. A grand slam to start the scoring in the 3rd.
Jose Guzman went 6 innings, gave up 7 runs on 7 hits, walking 3 and fanning 4.
And he will suffer his 10th defeat of the year. Unless the Cubs rally. There's a strike call. A little commotion in the stands on the 3rd base side.
A couple of fellows battling it out, Harry. Security is on the job, however.
The pitch. High pop foul out of play. Todd Hundley. Eddie Murray and Bob Bonilla, who hit his 32nd home run of the year, a career high for him, back in the 5th. Hundley goes down swinging, 1 away. McElroy strikes out the first man he faces. 1 out, nobody on. Here's Eddie Murray, 0 for 3, another switch hitter.
Eddie Murray's a little better hitter from the right side than he is from the left. However, most of his power comes as a left-hand hitter.
Well, you know, a lot of first basemen are going to be available this year. Murray being one of them.
Rafael Palmeiro, too, and possibly, Harry, even Will Clark, depending on what the Giants want to do with his contract. And the Mets have made no secret of the fact that they are looking for a first baseman, as is the Baltimore Orioles.
There's a ground ball up the middle. Whoa, nice play to throw. Get him! Fine play by Jose Vizcaino behind second base.
Well, the one thing that Eddie Murray does not do anymore is run particularly well. This looked like a base hit all the way. Vizcaino going up the middle, showing you pretty good range to his left. And when he catches it, it's relatively easy after that. Off-balance throw, he gets it there in time as Eddie just chugging down the line. Didn't come close to beating that one out.
Great camera work. You notice Sandberg ducking his head to make sure he didn't interfere with Vizcaino's throw. Bobby Bonilla. He homered on to Waveland Avenue and hit the rear screen, I think, and deflected onto the avenue. Now, Bobby Bonilla. Now the pitch, swung and foul back. One ball, two strikes. The Atlanta Braves have tied up the Giants in the bottom of the seventh.
Otis Nixon bounced a single through.
Here's a ground ball. Sandberg over to first to retire the side. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the seventh. The Cubs need a big inning. They trail 7-0. Before we make some runs, let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the root for the Cubs. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's ball game. Hey! First pitch to Grace. He hits deep in the center field. Ryan Thompson, easy out. One away on the first pitch. And here's Buechele, 0 for 2. Boy, young Bobby Jones, only 23 years old, pitching a terrific ball game. He's allowed only 4 hits.
This is why the Mets feel that Jones is going to fit right into that starting rotation next year. This is the kind of pitching he did in the minor leagues, but has so far escaped him in the major leagues as he's had a couple of tough outings back-to-back against the Colorado Rockies. But he has been in command tonight.
Now ready? And Buechele takes it outside. 1 ball, no strikes. A little bit low. Anybody for Lawrence Welk music? 2 balls, no strikes. Ball high, ball 3. Three balls and the strike. Bottom of the 7th, 1 out. Cubs trail 7-0. High pop fly, foul territory. Eddie Murray, he's under it, makes the catch. Well, as you said earlier, he doesn't throw too hard, but he certainly is around that plate all the time, and he never gives them a good ball to hit.
Well, he's had very good command today here. He's moved the ball in and out, and I think his fastball has surprised some Cubs. He throws it away from him, doesn't look that fast, but when he goes in with the fastball, he's been throwing it a lot on the hands of Cub hitters tonight.
Here's Wilkins, who's hit the Mets hard all year long. Takes a slow curve, a little bit inside. We're in the bottom of the 7th. Fast ball game so far.
Tomorrow, the Friday game starts at 2:20, and it's Greg Hibbert against Frank Tanana. Plenty of seats available throughout this Met weekend.
Pitch is in there for a strike call. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out, nobody on. The Cubs have been shut out 7 times this year. Wilkins has hit 4 of his homers against the Mets. There's a ground ball foul. You know, a lot's going to depend what those 2 ball clubs, Atlanta and San Francisco, do after this series ends. The Giants go into St. Louis, and Atlanta has to play San Diego. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A little bit inside. Ball 3, 3-2. Oh, this kid is in, out, up, down, moves the ball around. 3-2. Ground ball. Kemp, the second baseman, throws them out. 1, 2, 3. Nothing across. At the end of 7. 7-0. Mets. Harry Caray and Steve Stone, we go into the top of the 8th. 7-0 in favor of the Mets. Jeremy Burnitz, who's 2 out of 3. Gallagher is batting for Burnitz. Dave Gallagher batting for Burnitz. Probably a defensive move for the Mets. Gallagher used to be with the White Sox. He's hitting .277 for the Mets. 5 homers, 24 RBIs. 9 out of 23 as a pinch hitter. Pretty good percentage. 1 ball, 2 strikes. On Dave Gallagher. That evens the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High pop fly on the infield. Grace under it. 1 away. That brings up Jeff Kent, who's 0 for 3. $28,678 paid tonight. The Cubs are about 100,000 behind their all-time record attendance. The pitch. Low and outside. Let's pause here for station identification.
You're watching WGN-TV Channel 9 Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
High pop foul near the stands, out of play. Remember, the WGN News follows the ball game. One ball, 1 strike. Jeff Kemp, the hitter. Fouls it out of play.
Kent has showed some surprising power this year. Talking with the Mets brass, they said that eventually he could be moved to one of the corners. Right now, it certainly is a luxury with a second baseman hitting for the kind of power that Kent has hit for this year.
Outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Nobody on. We're in the 8th. All 3 low. The Atlanta Braves have just taken the lead. There's a foul ball out of play. And they're going crazy in Atlanta. But that game's only in the 7th. Jeff Kent. There's a base hit. He really whipped into that one. Kent lines a single to left. And that brings up Jeff McKnight. 2 for 2. Both doubles to right, hitting left-handed. He's a switch hitter.
Right-handed, he's only hitting 192 this year. His lone home run came as a left-hand hitter.
He swings and he fouls it back. 1 man out. 1 man on. And the Cubs haven't scored. The Mets lead 7-0. Fouled it out of play. There's another former Cub, Chico Walker, to the right of Bobby Bonilla, who used to be with the White Sox, with the Pirates, now, of course, with the Mets.
Another former Cub, Ced Landrum, is on this Mets team.
There's a pitch a little bit inside. I guess they use him for pinch running.
He certainly fills that bill. He is mighty fast.
Yes, sir. He can run. The pitch. The low inside. Bouncing ball. This guy into the second for 1, that's all. McKnight hit no force play. Vizcaino to Sandberg. 2 away. With the game tied in Atlanta, Ron Gant was the hitter. He hit a line drive back to Burba, Dave Burba. Hit him in the back. He couldn't locate the ball. The catcher, Man Waring, picked the ball up, dived for the runner. Nixon coming across the plate, slid across safely. Bouncing ball up the middle, base hit. And Ryan Thompson is on. And he's 2 out of 3 for tonight. And here's Bobby Jones.
Rick Wilkins going out to the mound to talk with Chuck McElroy. It's McElroy against the Mets. Nobody up in the pen. Let's see if we're going to look at a pinch hitter. Well, apparently Jones going to hit for himself. He's been in control all game, and Dallas figures he's got enough. Let the young fella finish what he started.
Jones is going not only for his first shutout, but his first complete game. Ground ball sharply hit. Sandberg comes up for the 4th out to retire the side. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. We go in the bottom of the 8th, 7-0 New York. Who's leading now 5-3.
Dave Gallagher is taken over in right field. He came on to pinch hit for Burnitz. He takes over defensively. Other than that, no changes for the Mets, as the Cubs try to solve this young right-hander that has given them so much trouble tonight.
Dave Gallagher playing. Playing right field for the Mets. Here's Sammy Sosa. Bobby Jones still pitching. High fly ball. Deep right center. Way back. Up against the wall. And Sammy doubles to right center to start the eighth.
That's his 22nd double of the year as Sammy Sosa takes advantage of the wind blowing out here, drives the ball into right center field. Gallagher couldn't get to it. Thompson couldn't get to it. As you take a look at the ball, hits off the bottom part of the wall. If Jones can complete this game, it'll mark 3 straight complete games against the Cubs. Ben Rivera, Terry Mulholland with Philadelphia. And tonight, Jones has gone into the 8th inning. The Cubs have a combined 1 run scored in those 3 contests.
Here's Kevin Robertson. Runner at second, nobody out. Slow curve outside.
Glenn Allen Hill in the on-deck circle. He'll come on to pinch hit.
Sosa, safe lead. Hung and he missed.
Look, Randy Myers throwing in the bullpen. He hasn't been used of late, and you got to get him an inning here and an inning there to keep him sharp. Even in an unsafe situation, it's good to let Randy throw an inning.
Inside and low. 2 balls and the strike, nobody out. Sosa, who doubled to open the inning at second. Fouled it out of play, 2-2. The Braves have scored 3 in the bottom of the 7th to lead the Giants 5-3. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled it back.
Good piece of hitting because that ball was almost by Kevin Robertson. Jones surprised him with a fastball right on the hands, and Kevin was able to stay alive. At the last instant, he decides to pull the trigger, and you can see the inside-out swing barely getting a piece of it.
He struck him out. Robertson goes down swinging. And here's Glenn Allen Hill coming out. Hill has hit 2 homers for the Cubs already this year. Only been in 9 games. McElroy turned in a good 2 innings, no runs, 2 hits, struck out 1. Ground ball hit for right field, base hit. Here comes the runner on third, being held up. Glenn Allen Hill single to right.
Gallagher doesn't have a great arm, but this ball was hit hard, and Gallagher was chasing it. Trying to get there aggressively and make the decision easy for Chuck Cartier. He's 7 runs down. There's no sense gambling. Gallagher comes up in short right field, and it was a pretty decent throw. So the Cubs threatening to break through against Bobby Jones, who's in unfamiliar territory here in the major leagues. He was averaging 5 1/3 innings per start. He's already in the 8th.
So runners at the corners. First and third, 1 out. A full moon tonight. It's a full moon that doesn't bring somebody some good. So far tonight, it's been the Mets leading 7-0. A little bit inside and low. We're in the bottom of the 8th. A bit wide again, ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Paid the attendance $28,678.
Josias Manzanillo loosening up in the bullpen for the Mets.
Ball 3. He might be tiring now. Bobby Jones, 23-year-old rookie.
Let's see if the Cubs can take advantage of a young man who's gone a lot further than he has in any of his starts. And odds are he is tiring somewhat.
Ball 4 and the bases are loaded. And here is Jose Vizcaíno.
And I think Dallas Green, realizing that his young right-hander has given him a great night and probably is tiring, taking the long, slow walk to the mound.
They have motioned to the bullpen. The new pitcher will be coming in, and we'll have more on him in a moment. What's his name? Well, Josias Manzanillo will be the new pitcher, a right-hander.
And they acquired Manzanillo from the Milwaukee Brewer organization in exchange for outfielder Wayne Hosey. That was on June 12th. He went to Norfolk in AAA, where he was called up, made his Mets debut with 2 shutout innings in the second game of the August 21st doubleheader in Colorado. And he didn't allow any hits and fanned 2. There's a look at Josias Manzanillo. Good night for Bobby Jones.
Bobby Jones. He wanted to go all the way. Manzanillo is 26 years old. And he's another guy who comes out of the Dominican Republic that is not a shortstop. He's a pitcher, a right-hander, 6-footer, 190 pounds. His brother, Ravello Manzanillo, pitched for the White Sox in 1988. The Yankees beat the White Sox tonight, 7-1. Key's 16th victory of the year, and they beat a good pitcher for the White Sox, Tim Belcher.
It's really hard to believe, Harry, that Toronto, as hurting for pitching as they are, would let Jimmy Key go, but they did, and he's won 16 games. Toronto could certainly use him, and the Yankees are using him to stay in the race.
So here's Vizcaíno with the bases loaded. We're in the 8th at Atlanta. The Braves lead 5-3 over the Giants. Swung and he fouled tip. Boy, you know, these games are 2 games. It's the difference between 2 games when you win or you lose. The Giants are 4.5 ahead. If they lose, they'll be 3.5 ahead. If they win, they'll be 5.5 ahead. It's been a great series down there. The Giants won last night 3-2. Infield playing back. Line drive in the center field is going to be caught. Here's a runner racing for the plate, and he scores. Sammy Sosa scores the first run for Chicago on Vizcaíno's sacrifice fly, his 42nd RBI of the year.
That's the 6th sacrifice fly of the year as Manzanillo throws a fastball down, but Jose gets the job done. But the Mets, with a big lead, will trade the out for the run. Shut out by the board.
Remember, the WGN News follows the ball game. Here's Sandberg. Curveball in there, a strike call. Sandberg rolled into a double play in the 6th, walked in the 4th, up out to Shart in the 1st. 2 out. There's a base hit in the right center field. Another run scored. And that's Sandberg's 43rd run batted in of the year. He scores Glenn Allen Hill.
Also keeps the hitting streak alive for Ryne Sandberg as he dumps this ball into right center. So the Cubs cut into the Mets lead. Now a 5-run lead.
And here is Graves, who can make it only 2 runs. Batting with 2 on, 2 out. He doubled off the top of the center field wall his first time up. Strike call over the outside corner.
This has been one of the Mets' big problems this year, and that's the bullpen. John Franco, the usual save man, has been hurt a couple of times, and the bullpen has been in a shambles for the Mets.
The Giants went out quickly in the top of the 8th of Atlanta, and they trailed 5-3 with only one more chance at the Braves, who are batting now in the bottom of the 8th. Going to the count. There's a high fly ball, will be caught in deep center field. Ryan Thompson on the warning track to retire the side. But the Cubs get 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, 2 left. At the end of 8, Mets 7, Cubs 2. Well, Harry Caray back at Wrigley Field, and Randy Myers coming in. No save involved, no nothing except getting a little work, unless the Cubs rally with 6 in the bottom of the 9th, in which he'd be the winner.
Randy Myers with a 2-4 record, a 3.41 ERA, on for the 57th time.
First pitch to Orsolak, swung on. Long drive, going back to the wall. And Orsolak's going to get 3. I don't know about Dwight Smith.
I don't think Dwight went back quite aggressively on that one, Harry. It looks like he was just walking back to it.
I wonder if he even saw the ball.
Well, it went over his head, and there was no doubt it was going over his head, and we'll take a look at what happened.
See if we can show this. Now, I think he may have slipped.
So Joe Orsolak comes through with a long bomb. Stayed in the ballpark. That's his 3rd triple of the year.
That was Randy Myers' first pitch. So Orsolak's at 3rd. Nobody's out. Infield in. There's a base hit up the middle. 2 pitches, 2 hits, and a run scored.
Unfortunately, when a short reliever, when a man used to the game on the line comes in to just get an inning into work, many times you just subconsciously relax. Well, the Mets aren't relaxed as they're pounding away at Randy Myers. This one almost took off his head going into center field.
Here is Eddie Murray. He's 0 for 4 tonight. But don't let that fool you. He's still a dangerous hitter from either side of the plate. He's had 21 homers again. Now the pitch. Outside. One ball, 1 strike. Runner at first, run in. Swung and he missed.
Those career numbers versus the Cubs is Eddie Murray, both for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets, has always hit Cub pitching.
Boy, just You want to go back to 1977. That's when he started his major league career. He started a swing, held up. They appeal, and they say he went around. That's a strikeout. He's 0 for 5 today. But listen to home runs from year to year. In 1977, his first year, 27 homers, 27 homers, 25, 32, 22, 32, 33, 29, 31, 17, 30, 28, 20, 26, 19, 16. And so far this year, 21. The last 2 years have been with the Mets. There's a ground ball to short. Descoino to Sandberg over the first to retire the side. Bobby Bonilla hit into a 6-4-3 double play. But 1 run on 2 hits. We go in the bottom of the 9th. It's do or die. The Mets lead 8-2.
Today's Russ Stuff out of the game is brought to you by Russ Stuff from Krylon. Jose Vizcaino goes up the middle. A fine stop of this one makes the off-balance throw, retiring Eddie Murray in the 7th inning. And that's the Krylon Tough out of the game.
Harry Caray with the Buick game summary. The Mets lead 8-2 in the bottom of the 9th. Hundley hit a career-high 5 RBIs tonight. The Cubs have scored only 3 runs in the last 26 innings and 21 home runs for the Mets in the last 15 games. Bouchel leads it off.
Bobby Bonilla grounds into an inning-ending double play to get out of the 9th, and Carex donates $100 to Cubs Care for that double play.
1 ball, 1 strike on Bouchel. We're in the bottom of the 9th. One ball, 2 strikes. The Cubs have had 7 hits, 2 runs. Bobby Jones, a rookie right-hander, only 23 years old, is a pitcher of record. There's a ground ball. Throw to first. Bobby Bonilla throws him out. The producer-director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. The coordinating producer is Bill Borson. And our associate producer, Joe Carneo. One out. Here's Wilkins. Manzanillo throws a little bit low and outside. Ground ball. This is easy. Over to first. Easy out. 2 gone. McKnight throws on Wilkins, and here is Sammy Sosa. 1 out of 3 tonight. The White Sox are beaten at New York 7-1. Key over Belcher. Two out, nobody on. Second game of the series tomorrow, starting at 2 o'clock Chicago time. Leadoff man at 2 o'clock. The game itself at 2:20. Two men are out. High fly ball might be out of here, way back in the center field. His 30th home run of the year. It went past the unprotected section in center field. Holy cow, what a home run. His 30th of the year. Now he only needs 5 stolen bases to become the only Cub player in history. So hit 30 or more homers, 30 or more stolen bases in the same year.
This one is long gone as Sammy Sosa gets a fastball up and out over the plate. For Manzanillo, his first Major League home run given up. Sammy Sosa taking it out of the ballpark, and Montgomery Ward donates $100 to Cubs Care for the blast off the bat of Sammy Sosa.
That one to about the third row from the backdrop. In the section that is screened off to benefit the hitter. Robertson. Watch Sammy. He knows it's gone as soon as he hits it. Yeah. Here's the pitch. A little bit inside. Well, it's 8-3 now. And the grand slam by Todd Hundley is a big blow. 3 balls and a strike. 2 out. Sosa now with 78 runs batted in. Three balls and a strike. Willie Wilson will be next. Swung, and he missed, and he had a cut. Fouled it. He's still alive. They're in the 9th at Atlanta, with the Braves leading the Giants 5-3. Ground ball, Eddie Murray. The game is over. And the Mets have won the first game of the series, defeating the Cubs 8-3. Remember, the WGN News follows. We'll be back in a moment. The Budweiser play of the game happened in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded and 1 out when Todd Hundley hit this long drive, a grand slam into the left center field bleachers to give the Mets this ball game, which they went on to win by the score of 8-3. Our next telecast on Channel 9 will be tomorrow when the Mets and the Cubs tangle. Our WGN telecast begins with a leadoff man at 2 o'clock Chicago time. Stay tuned now for the WGN News, which will be coming up in a moment. Harry Caray from Wrigley Field. So long, everybody.
The Cubs are brought to you by Budweiser, fresh, pure, natural, proud to be your Bud. True Value Hardware Stores. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value Hardware Stores. Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by the Chicago Tribune, Chicagoland's choice for sports, daily and Sunday.
Listen to the crowd.
If you like baseball cards, you'll love Card Baseball, the new baseball board game that brings your cards to life. You'll use the stats from your favorite cards. It's fun, easy to play, and perfect for anyone 8 years and up.
Available at these fine stores.